Best practical joke you ever played or was played on you or went wrong. All based on a fabulous story that I heard, it must be a good 2 years ago now, on the Simon Mayo Drive Time show. It was in his True Confession slot, so this is a true story. And it came from a guy who worked in a London office just as the era of the ubiquitous bowler hat was coming to an end. So it would have been about the late 60s, maybe early 70s. And a hat shop was having a special on them because they were falling out of fashion really fast. And this guy's office boy, who was about 17, he always wanted a bowler hat but couldn't afford one. He got it for £0.50. And he started to wearing it to work every day, and he was really proud of it. He loved himself in his bowler hat. So after a few days, after a couple of weeks, his mates played a trick on him. One of them went to the same shop, bought an identical hat, but one size larger, a complete size up, and they covertly swapped them on the hat peg. And that evening, the kid put the replacement on, and it went straight down over his eyes, bang onto the bridge of his nose, which was hilarious. But they all pretended not to notice. The whole deal was to keep quiet. And he couldn't work it out. He kept sort of taking it off and putting it on, and it was dropping down again. And he just eventually wandered home, totally confused. And next morning, he came back in, and this time the hat was properly in place. And when he was in the loo, his mates examined it, and they saw what he'd done. He'd lined the inside room with newspaper so that it fit him again. So they lined the original bowler that they'd hidden with newspaper as well, just the same, sent the lad on some bogus errand, and swapped the hats back. And this time, when he put it on at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, it sat on really high on his head like a little pea on a drum. And he pulled it, but it wouldn't fit. Too small. He just could not work it out. Newspaper inside, it fit this morning, what's going on? So he went home, and next day he came in with, yes, a perfectly fitting hat, because he'd taken all the paper out. So they waited until he got to the loo, and they took the paper out of the bigger one and swapped it again. That evening, the hat falls down over his eyes, hits his nose. They're all killing themselves not to laugh. And off he went as usual, looking completely confused now, totally thrown. And the next morning, he didn't show up. So one of them phoned his home. He lived with his mum and dad. And his mum answered, and she said, No, Bob won't be in today. He's gone to the doctor's. And the bloke asked why, and she said, well, he's very worried. He thinks his head keeps expanding and then shrinking again. Okay, I don't expect anybody to beat that. But tell me about the best practical